Hello again, everyone. This is my year in review slash what excited me the most about fountain pens in 2021. So I thought about just doing a standard favorites video for 2021 for various topics, but I figured I have so many favorites really that I would be doing samples for you all day long. So what I decided to do is just take some trends that really excited me in 2021 about fountain pens. So I do plan to do this type of video for other media, for example, watercolor, mixed media, that sort of thing. We'll see how far I get with that. But here, this one is the fountain pen video, and all of these fountain pens have some aspect of the things that really excited me the most about fountain pens in 2021. So basically, I think that 2021 was the year of the nib for me, for sure. I really went crazy with nibs, custom grinds, special nibs, and by special I mean, it could be a different metal that the nib was made out of. It could be a fun design on the nib itself. I also got into size 8 nibs for the first time in these shown design pens, which I'm going to show you later. And flexible nibs. I actually don't have an example of a flexible nib here today, but I did get into those a little bit as well. I also, speaking of flexible nibs, flexible Nib Factory is something that I really got into this year because, or 2021, I should say, because you can have so much customization that you can do with their feeds and sections that you can put in here into pens and use different brands of nibs in different pens. So that was really exciting. I also, well, this goes without saying really, but swapping nibs was kind of my thing for 2021. I basically did not leave, well, I might have left one or two pens untouched, but for the most part, most pens got a swapping and had a different nib in them. And also another sort of a minor trend that I had was putting really cool nibs on cheap pens. And you'll see that a little bit on this Moonman pen here. The other thing, other than nibs, I definitely got into the hand-turned acrylic pens, which I have quite a few representatives of to show you today. I also really like small batch machined pens. So I only really have shown design pens to show you that example today, but also Keras Customs is another big one that I got into more so this year than other years. And another theme is demonstrator pens. Most of these, well, a lot of them, I should say, are demonstrator pens. You've got different aspects of demonstrator going on for all of those there. And also Opus 88s. And the Opus 88 brand kind of goes into all of the other things that I've really enjoyed in 2021 because it allows for a lot of nib swapping and lots of ink usage and ink capacity, so that was lots of fun. So I'm going to go ahead and show you these pens written so that you can kind of see some examples of what I'm talking about. So let's move these off to the side a little bit here. I'm going to put this here so that you can still see the pens, and then I will put the paper up to the camera so you can see it a little better. And these are the different aspects of 2021 that I favored the most are kind of spread out throughout here. But I'm going to start on this end and go that way, and then you'll see all the different things here. So this first one is by Signature Pen Company. Actually, I have a list. Oh, this is one problem with pens with no roll stop. They just keep going. So this, I have a list of all the pens here, so I'm going to make sure I get that out so I can tell you what each one is. So this pen is by Signature Pen Company, and it is a faux abalone blank. And I've shown this one on the channel before, but I wanted to show it again in this context because, first off, it's a great example of a hand-turned pen, hand-turned acrylic pen, and it has a custom nib on it that has become my favorite custom nib of all time here. And this is the Micro Architect nib from the nib grinder. And also, before I do the writing sample, I did want to mention, you won't see this with all the pens, but a lot of them you will. I also got into labeling what nibs are on my pens with washi tape at the bottom. I tried to put it in a washi tape that would kind of blend in with the pen. One problem with some washi tapes is it wipes off pretty easy, even with a permanent marker. But for the most part, it's been helpful in determining what nibs are in what pens. All right, so this one doesn't post, although I suppose that is another trend that it didn't necessarily excite me, but it's something that I was trending towards in 2021, and that is less posting. In prior years, I pretty much was a 100% poster, and I've been moving away from that a little bit. Okay, so this is by Signature Pen Company, and this is an abalone. And the nib is the nib grinder. Micro Architect. So you get a really thin downstroke and actually quite a nice side stroke for such a narrow pen. And the ink in here is Herbin L'Hermé de Cassis. And as far as inks, I'm not going to do a separate video on inks. I would say, you know, I just gravitated more towards pink and purples this year, but there wasn't really anything identifiable that really excited me this year about inks, other than sort of my shifting preferences. But I suppose there's a lot of good chromo shaders out there. I did get a little bit more into those. Oh, and I did want to mention that based on really awesome nibs, I am going to be doing 2 separate videos at some point in the future about Pen BBS's calligraphy nibs, which I have the whole set of the stainless steel ones, which I will show you in a video. And then I also will do a video on just my Esterbrook pens that I have. I purchased a lot of them in 2021, but they have such interesting nibs, and I didn't want to make this all about Esterbrook or all about Pen BBS, this particular video. So I am going to be doing those at some other time, but both of those pens also really went into this year of both of those brands of pens went into the year of the nib. The calligraphy nibs are all really fun, and then so are those Esterbrook pens, which allowed me to use vintage nibs as well. Okay, and this was actually one of my favorite hand-turned acrylic pen purchases of 2021. This is from River City Pen Company, and it's in a blank called Fairy Puke, which I thought was just, I don't know why it appealed to me other than it was really sparkly and swirly, and I really, really liked it. And I thought the name was kind of fun too. And this is another fine architect, but this is sort of an offshoot of all the nib interest that I had this last year. This is a handmade one that I made myself. The nib itself is a fine architect that I ground. So this is River City Pen Company. Fairy Puke. And this is a homemade fine architect, and I'm not as masterful as the nib grinder, but I think I did a pretty good job for a homemade nib here. And this ink is Diamine Blue Peppermint, which has a sparkle in it, but you can't see it very well. It was from 2019's Inkvent calendar. You'll see maybe only one more Inkvent, which is in this next one. So this is by a company called On a Whim Woodworks, and this is a blank called Liquid Art. And what's really interesting about this combination is I used a flexible Nib Factory housing to put in a Pelican stainless steel double broad nib. So this is the only one that I have been able to do with Pelican. They have kind of a weird setup with their nibs. You have to take a collar off of it in order to put it in something like this housing. And I've been a little afraid to do it on my more expensive Pelican nibs, so I haven't done that yet. But it's really kind of fun and whimsical to write with it in this particular pen. So this is On a Whim, Woodworks, Liquid Art. And this is a Pelican M200, might be 205 since it's silver, but either way, M200 double broad nib. And this was actually the highlighter, oops, the highlighter nib. Okay, and then this ink is was in 2021's Inkvent calendar. It is Diamine Party Time. You might be getting a little bit of blue that was left in the feed, making this a little more purple. I think this is definitely a little more pink than how it's showing up in this pen, just because this nib had a little bit of blue ink left over in it. All right, and then I've shown this one on the channel before as well. This is 1833 Custom Creations in a Mystique acrylic, and this is also one of my favorite purchases for 2021. It's just really awesome with this demo interspersed with this really cool swirly purple blue. And then the nib I have on here is definitely a special nib. It is a Bach Platinum nib. So this is 1833 Custom Creations. Mystique. And this has a platinum Bach fine nib. And then this ink is Tachia Kawaii. Oops, I'm always putting extra eyes in that one. So that's a real nice one, and this nib is super smooth and lovely. I really like it a lot. And then here we have another one of my favorites. See, oh, they're all my favorites, right? But I do have some that I like more than others. This is from Bone Crusher Studio. And this, I think, is a Cocoon brand blank. I can't remember the name of it, but it's just really, really cool. And this particular maker, this is the only pen I have by Bone Crusher Studio, and it feels really, really nice. It's really, the model is very, very comfortable, and I feel like the machining is really, really nice on this. And there's a lot of nice things about this pen. Okay, so this is, and it has a nib grinder broad curved architect on it. And I think this is kind of where this nib is going to live forever. Bone Crusher Studio. And then, so this is a nib grinder, broad curved architect. And then the ink is Sailor 970. But this one you can really get beautiful thin lines down and a really nice broad nib. And you, depending on your angle, you actually get different line widths going across, which is kind of nice to have that flexibility. All right, one of my favorite nibs ever. All right, and this one, so this is not a hand-turned acrylic pen. This is a Penlux Grand in the rainforest color. And why I include this one is it did have so many different elements of the things that really excited me about 2021. First off, it is a demo, even though it's green. And this, I swapped out the nib for this beautiful matching Bach rose gold, and it is a custom grind. It is a broad, smooth cursive italic, and the ink just went so well with this. This is definitely my favorite of all time as far as the pen ink nib combination. Pen looks grand. It also feels really good in my hand. Rainforest, and then the nib is a Bach rose gold. Oops. Cursive smooth italic broad. And then this is Robert Oster Moss. Lovely, lovely. I love that it's a piston fill pen. You know, the more I use this pen, the more I wonder if this is actually my favorite pen from recent years, because it feels really good in my hand. I like a larger size pen. You know, the nib is really, really nice. This nib is from Pen Realm. Actually, let me put that there. From Pen Realm. And Pen Realm consistently does really wonderful grinds. I have not been disappointed with any grind I've gotten from there. All right, and then this is an Opus 88, which has a Sailor 21 karat broad nib on it because of another flexible Nib Factory housing that I was able to put in here. And this is just a beautiful combination. You know, I had this nib in just a regular black body that I got really, really cheap on Amazon. It was the Sailor 1911 large size, which I actually like the size of that pen. But it just was a little boring, and I already had a medium nib in pretty much the exact same pen. Because I got both of them incredibly inexpensively. I think both of them were only a little over $100 for a 1911 large, which is a great deal. But I just wanted to, you know, spice it up a little bit, I suppose, and have some good ink flow for this broad nib, because this is a piston fill. You can get a lot of ink flowing to your nib. So, yeah, and also once I put this broad nib in here, it was such a smooth writer that I said, okay, well, that's where this one lives. Opus 88 Omar Gray Demo. And this has a Sailor 21K broad nib. And the ink in here is Lennon Toolbar. Atmospheric cloudy day. All right. And I have to say that probably my favorite ink company of 2021 is Lennon Toolbar, just because they have such great variety, colors, and usefulness. This particular one is waterproof when dry. Okay, and then this is that really fun Moonman demo pen. It's the Q1 model that I got in 2021, and I put a Kirk-Spear, which one is this called? This is called the Spear Point nib. So it has a really fine line on the bottom side, and then you flip it over and it has a thicker line, and I added a little bit of flex to it. So this is Moonman Q1 demo, and it has Pen Realms, Spear Point nib, and then the ink in here, I'm going to flip it over and do the ink. This is Pilot Hiroshizuku. Pretty sure this is Ama-Iro. There's the off chance that this could be Konpeki, but I'm pretty sure it's Ama-Iro. Oh, and let me do the... And then on the other side, this is just a really fun nib. And with this pen, it actually works great. I realized I didn't do some sample lines for these ones above, so I'm going to do that. Lovely, juicy, broad Sailor nib. And then this lovely broad CSI. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and go on to another sheet of paper for these Shown Design pens. And so 2 of these, the Ultem pens, have a size 8 nib in each of these. This one is, I just left with a regular size 6. They didn't release a size 8 feed or a size 8 section that matches this one. So this is called the Peekaboo. So it's made out of a material called Peak, and it had this really cute, he released it around Halloween. So it has this really cute little ghost here, and it was the first time this label appeared here on the cap. I really like these pens. I like that they're durable and that they're comfortable to write with. Just really like them a lot. Okay, and then this nib is a broad cursive italic. I think from fpnibs.com. I think that's where I got it. So this is Shown Design. This is the Peekaboo. And I will show you all of these closer up towards the end here. And then this is a, so it's a Yovo broad cursive italic. And then this ink, let me see, what is this ink? This is Ackerman's Delft-Blau. All right, and this is again a really great nib combo with this pen. So this is the only one that is still a size 6. They did, even though they didn't release the section in this color for a size 8 nib, you could put the black or the original Ultem sections that he does sell for the size 8 on here if you wanted to do that. And then this is the original Ultem pen. I actually got this in the first batch, so it's a little bit different than the later editions. But this is, I just love this in its, I think probably deceptive simplicity, because I know a lot of work went into designing it, but it's so comfortable and beautiful. And I was, talk about excited. The thing that I was probably excited the most about all year of 2021 was putting a size 8 nib on these pens. So I was like, I'm gonna get that as soon as they come out, and I was waiting for it. I was just really excited about it. All right, so this is again the Shown Design. This is the Ultem pen. And here we have a Bach size 8 14K fine nib. And then this ink is Sailor Studio 280. My only issue with this particular nib is I probably should have gotten a custom grind when I got it. I didn't, because it was so expensive as is, and I didn't want to pay for an additional grind on it at the time. But I think it could use a little bit of tuning. So at some point I may do a custom grind on this or do some tuning with a professional, not with me. Okay, and then this is the black Ultem, which was released after the Ultem but before the Peekaboo. And this, I really love a classy black pen, and to me this is a classy black pen. And here I have the titanium size 8 Bach nib on this, and I actually got a little special breather hole on this one, the size of a little, or the shape of a little teardrop. And this I did get a specialty grind on. So this is a cursive italic. So again, this is Shown Designs, black Ultem. And titanium does have a little bit of flex, but it's not super noticeable in my opinion, at least not for this nib. Size 8 titanium, fine cursive italic. And then this ink is Kala turtle shaped rice cakes. And I thought it was really fun to have this super bright pink ink in a kind of, you know, subdued black pen. I really liked that. But these three, I love these. It's, you know, it's kind of my splurge for the year, getting these three. All right. Although I think I may have gotten the original Ultem in the year before. I can't remember. Okay, so here's the writing with those. All very different. I try to make it so that I don't have a whole lot of pens that write exactly the same. I mean, obviously I do have, you know, fine, medium, standard, blah, blah, blah. But I do try to vary that up. And I'm thinking that based on a recent Inky Rocks video that I saw, I may have to make stacked nibs my goal, getting a stacked nib, my goal for 2022, just because they look really, really cool. My only problem with them is I think, well, are they really going to be that practical? Am I really going to be writing as broadly as you can with a stacked nib? But I just think the cool factor, I have to get one at some point. So we'll see. Maybe 2022 will be the year I get a stacked nib. All right, well, that's all I had for you today. Feel free to subscribe to keep track of future videos on my channel. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. I hope to see you next time, but in the meantime, have a great day. Thanks so much. Bye.